I think it's time to finally talk about this. We didn't get to it last episode, but I've been dying to talk about this.
Okay.
John Tortorella comes out with a bit of a hot take, telling Connor McDavid to shut up, as he put it. I'm assuming you saw the clip.
I did, yeah.
So for anyone who has not seen the clip, John Tortorella pretty much says that Connor McDavid should change his game in a way. Not be he specifically said he doesn't have to become a checker, which I thought was hilarious because how many discussions we had about John Tortorella trying to turn Patrick Laine into a power forward. But whatever. Because Connor McDavid has complained about calls against him or lack of calls against him. I don't agree with him. I personally don't agree with him. Like, do you agree with the idea that Connor McDavid should change as a player or become a little more aggressive, I guess? I think that's what he was kind of saying. To me, he's saying become more aggressive.
I think like not fundamentally change everything, but I think just the way the team is, like teams are built now, the way superstars are, you don't have to be like, what's an example of like a guy who scores? Like you don't have to be prime Getzlaf or Perry or prime like Shanahan to kind of like show that. I think that like Sidney Crosby, like even though people kind of ripped on him early in his career, like he was an aggressive guy. Like he was aggressive back to certain things, right? Like when teams got in his face, I remember when he was pushing Ovechkin, like them like shoving each other or something like that. I think that you need that certain level of standing up for yourself. But I don't know, Connor McDavid, it just, you have like Zach Kassian. I know he was injured, but you have certain guys that play that part for you. You don't have to change how you play.
Wayne Gretzky had Marty McSorley, and Connor McDavid has Zach Kassian.
Yeah. At one point, he had Zach Kassian and Milan Lucic.
Yeah, he did. You're right. For what, a year or two, a couple of years, he had both of them. The thing with what John Tortorella says, I think you brought up Sidney Crosby. I think Crosby is an interesting example because I think Crosby did change his game in a way. Like last night or a few nights ago, the guy literally threw a player into the boards. By the way, unpenalized and uncalled. I just think that might be a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of threw a player, like literally it looked like he threw the guy. But he did change in a way where he wasn't dealing with any crap. He was not dealing with it. And I think Connor McDavid did that in a way, maybe not same way Crosby did. Like, I don't remember. He's done it a couple times where his elbow's a little up there. Connor McDavid's elbow had been up there.
Yeah, he's done that before. Yeah.
Like, he's retaliated. Like the thing for me is like, did we miss Connor McDavid not complaining for the first 5 years of his career?
It happens. I mean, okay, so here's an example. Like LeBron always complains about it, but we're not asking him to change his game.
Right. Like, and for me, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm really not. I'm asking for the damn rule book to be called. I'm pleading. And if the rule book isn't good enough, you have off season to change it. Yeah. Like this isn't to me a different. Okay. Here's the thing. I see it as an issue. I think you see it as an issue as well. I say Adam sees it as an issue. I don't think the NHL sees it as an issue.
No, I don't think they do.
Because if they saw it as an issue, Gary Bettman wouldn't be saying, well, we have the best refs in the league or in the world. Sorry. We have the best refs in the world. You don't. Like you don't. You don't have the worst. The worst are CONCACAF. The worst are CONCACAF refs. But that's a separate story. Just brutal refereeing.
we've seen so many examples of that. Like Austin. Austin Matthews. He takes a fair share of his own hits as well on things. Things happen to him as well. And I'm not saying comparing them. Like he doesn't.
Be careful, Daniel. They will come.
I know.
I know.
I'm not saying equal level kind of things. But I'm just
the Edmonton mob will come after you.
But there's been a lot of things on him as well that have been called.
For sure. And I think there's a lot of things every star player goes through. And in this league in particular, they do not care. They'd rather the star retaliate. Like, think about it like this. For me, and I think most people, I hate Brad Marchand, but I'd love to have him on my team.
Yeah.
Brad Marchand can put up points. But he's also not only a pain in the butt to play against, but he's a little bit of a rat. Mm-hmm. Get in your face. He might lick you. He might lick you and get away with it twice.
It's funny. I was going to say this, but I'm not going to put him in the same breath as the licking part, but I was going to say Brendan Gallagher as an example as well.
Yes, exactly.
I think Adam would agree with that as well.
Yeah, he is a pain in the ass to play against, and he's a little bit of a rat. And those are the guys who everybody hates but loves at the same time. And like, look at Ovechkin. Like, I'm sure there's people out there who saw what Crosby did, and me included, who thought it was hilarious because he literally threw a player and didn't get called for it. He didn't get called for it. Like, is it just me who thinks that's ridiculous? Like, a little bit ridiculous? Like, we should not expect the stars of the game. Connor McDavid has had multiple 100-point seasons. He's like, he just hit 600 points in 425 or around there, 424 game. Is that right? Yeah, in 424 games. He hit 600 points in 424 games, but he's the guy who has to change his game.
I don't know. I mean, okay, like, I don't know, like John Tortorella, where he's coming from is, when he talk about like he has to change his game. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of Patrick Laine right away. I thought of Pierre-Luc Dubois, where just remember that back check shift.
I know it was not great.
Like, that's an example where I was like, okay, maybe that's a change. Not Connor McDavid.
Like, I don't think John Tortorella is wrong. I just hate the fact that John Tortorella is wrong in this instance because he's right. If Connor McDavid wants to like not be pushed around, I guess I don't know what Connor McDavid's what his problem is, but if he doesn't want to get pushed around, he also has to push back.
Yeah,
and that's stupid. To me, that if he's getting penalized, then call the damn penalty.
Just there's not slide. I know Pittsburgh. I mean, not Pittsburgh. Edmonton. They always have that option. They always put Zach Kassian back on the first line.
Please don't. No. I will stay. Right now. It is November 17th, 2021. They should never put Zach Kassian on that first line again. Never. I don't want to see it. You know how much I do not like Edmonton? Like how much crap I've talked about Edmonton on this podcast? I do not want them to put Zach Kassian because they have better players than that. I think that is this idea that Connor McDavid has to change is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know. I understand where he's coming from, but it's not like it's just happening to him. A lot of star players go through all of this.
Yeah, and all those star players have changed. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, that's why John Tortorella is technically right. Because all those guys, look at Ovechkin. I don't think Ovechkin's a guy who's going to take crap. I don't think Crosby's a guy who's going to take crap. I like list the stars. all the stars who are past their prime or towards the end of it will not take crap because they know that if they take it and they don't retaliate, they're going to take it more.
Yeah, and I think, okay, this is one aspect too. I think John Tortorella's emphasis on his own team culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I recall the 2004 finals with the Lightning and the Flames. And, you know, you barely ever see fighting in the playoffs ever.
Yeah.
But he allowed Brad Richards and Vincent Lecavalier to fight. I remember Vincent Lecavalier had a really, really, violent fight with Jerome McGinley. And I think there's just something he installs in his star players. Like, regardless of where you play on the lines, you're still going to be asked to defend yourself.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying he shouldn't defend himself. I'm just saying he should get the damn calls.
Yeah.
Like, Is that, be honest, is that too much to ask for?
It's not too much to ask for.
It's not too much to ask for. Can I read you this quote from, we know him, Tim Peel.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the news before for
many
that
things.
For the mic situation, being mic'd up and that. He was on Kipper and Bourne talking about the hot mic incident. And this is the quote. You hear fans go, quote, just call the rule book. Well, that's not realistic. Let's be honest. What?
Yeah, I don't understand.
How is that? Can I why? I'm genuinely curious as to why that's not realistic. Because that doesn't make sense. Then maybe there's something wrong with the rule book.
I think it is outlined there. It's just, I don't know what it is. Like, is it just refs? Like, they're just, it's relative to these certain incidents. It's not like they just kind of call it for what it is. Because when Tim Peel said, like, he doesn't call PK Subban a dirty player, and PK just said, it's just a bad habit he has. But like, you can tell, like, they slow it down for us, and you see his leg. It just comes out like the last second.
Okay, sure. You know what? I don't know. Maybe
and I feel bad laughing at this because we really hope Sammy Blais is okay.
Yes, yeah, of course. Of course. He's out for this season.
Yeah, torn ACL.
Yeah. But that's ridiculous. Like, it's a bad habit. So that's okay. What's the point? Like, what you're trying to get across with saying, okay, he's not a dirty player, but it's just a bad habit. Then change the bad habit.
Like, does Nazem Kadri just have a bad habit of getting suspended?
He has a bad habit of seeing the red mist way too much.
Yeah.
That's the bad habit there.
Oh my, the only thing, again, like, I don't like the bad habit thing we talked about. It's just the one more thing with Kadri, just with the Justin Falk thing where, it wasn't even near the puck.
No. That was just clearly not good. Like, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
I don't understand why year after year after year, we have to have the conversation that the refs in our eyes aren't doing their job. And I think that's the biggest distinction, is that we see it as them not doing their job. Personally, I feel that maybe the rule book is too subjective, where each person sees it in a different light, or a group of people see it in one light and another group of refs see it in another light, and then the fans see it in a different light. If that's the case, that doesn't seem good for business.
Yeah, not at all, because the way I see it is like that's the part that gets me, is just, right. I talked to PK after. No, just call it for what it is. Don't talk to the guy and try to rationalize it, because it's the same thing where a guy gets penalized and then how he gets mad and he tries to talk to the ref. Say, oh, it was like this. It's like, no, it's already called. Just call it for what you see.
Exactly. Like, it's mind-boggling that year after year after year, we have the same conversation, and we're the only ones still complaining. Like the NHL hasn't really done that. They said, oh, we're going to enforce cross checks this year. That lasted maybe a week into the season. Like it maybe lasted a week. No one's talking about it because like we're just so used to the idea that the NHL says one thing and then kind of pisses it away a week after, which is again what happened. So can we deal with this? Like, can we deal with this situation?
Yeah, again, like it's not difficult. Just call it for what it is.
Exactly. And I think the issue is that they need to go and look at the rule book, because to me, that's the issue. It's the rule book.
These things, like, okay, when they talk about like, oh, it was a bad habit. I think the two things that come up to me is, yeah, I know that when you talk to a guy about like every game is going to be different, but you still have to call it for what it is. And second, it's like, this is not an 18, 19-year-old PK Subban. He knows what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is a crazy comparison. I'm just going to make it anyways. And I'm not saying this is what I do, but I'm just using it as an example. When I'm driving, if I don't stop, if I do a rolling stop at a stop sign, I'm going to get a ticket if a cop sees me. Mm-hmm. He's not going to pull me over and say, oh, it was just a bad habit, and let me go on with my damn day. He's going to give me a ticket for a rolling stop. I like, maybe I don't know how different that is, but I really think it's that simple. He's being penalized or he's committing a penalty and not being penalized. Not in PK Subban's case, because he was fined, but in the case of Connor McDavid, how many times that series against Winnipeg was atrocious. The amount of times he was penalized, and there were minimal calls. That's insane. There
has to be a level of consistency there. And must I say that in my area, that's actually a big problem with rolling stops. Like there are cops hiding at every side street that every time I'm driving home or going somewhere, there's always someone getting a ticket.
Yeah. When someone's speeding on the highway and a cop sees them, they don't not pull them over because they recognize the license plate and say, well, it was just a bad it's just a bad habit, guys. It's just a bad habit. What are you going to do?
This reminds me of a Simpsons joke where I think Homer is speeding.
Yeah.
And then Chief Wiggum, it's like, let him go, Lou. Someone going that fast doesn't have time for a ticket.